Good evening, everyone. I'm Morgan Davies. We'll hear from Governor Bullock in just a bit how a nation is turning a historic tragedy into a chance at community healing. Good evening, everyone. I'm Morgan Davies in for Taylor Chase. Over the last few days, I've looked into a situation in the county jails. We are featuring some cuddly kitties who will just melt your heart. They are also reaching out to teachers around the state, encouraging them to write to Senator Daines and Tester to vote no on DeVos's appointment. And a Great Falls couple has been arrested in connection with a meth lab on Cove Lane. The Entertainment Software Association reports that 150 million Americans play video games, with 42% playing them on a regular basis.
Controversial to say the least, by golly, so, you know.
But what's not controversial is those summer temperatures.
Whoa.
And I know I'm happy I don't have to go to school because I'll be in the pool. Yeah. But for those of you who may not know what the Quiet Waters proposal is, each presidential inauguration is a historic event, and for some 7th graders at North Middle School in Great Falls, it's their first time actually watching an inauguration. Here in the Electric City, $64,000 of that $35 million was put back into the Great Falls Clinic. At the Cascade County Courthouse, a man is charged with sexually assaulting a young boy. A former state lawmaker from Havre is charged with threatening a tenant as she was moving out of a rental property. We first brought you the story of a human trafficking bust at the Great Falls Motel 6 in June of 2015. I didn't just get all the fun for Melinda and Alexis and myself. We also got it for all the guys in Master Control, our camera guys. Everyone gets a root beer float. New information tonight on a Great Falls police patrol vehicle that was involved in a hit and run. We have pictures straight from the scene.
Right now, this is ABC Montana. Local news at 10. Your local news leader.
Good evening, I'm Morgan Davies in for Amanda Rowley. I'll have the details on that crash coming up, but first, we go to Helena, where over 10,000 Montanans made national history, supporting many movements, including women's rights and gay rights. The planning for the march started 2 months ago on November 9th. Organizers Deb O'Neill says she expected only 500 people to come, but seeing this turnout today speaks volumes to her.
It says Montanans are welcoming, compassionate, and caring, and I'm very, very proud to be one. It definitely is evident that people needed something, because it wasn't us that caused this, it was the individuals that wanted to be here.
Extra security was present, but only to help keep the crowd safe from any counter-protests. O'Neill said that if a counter-protest had come, she wouldn't have mind, as it is a free country and that is their right. Now, our Colby Crossley was also at today's march, and he had the opportunity to speak with one of the women at the event. Now, the march wasn't just in the capital city, but across the United States, but it didn't stop there. Marches were also taking place around the world to show solidarity with demonstrations in the U.S. Marchers in Kosovo, Pristina, held up signs supporting human rights for all. Now, Melinda Zosh joins me for a first look at weather. And Melinda, when I talked to our reporters in Helena, they said they were a bit chilly at that march, but in Great Falls, we had a really nice day.
Oh, it was beautiful today in the Electric City. Capital City, not so much, a bit colder.
All right, thanks, Melinda. A judge will decide whether to revoke a suspended sentence for a man convicted in the 1979 death of Kim Nees. Berry Beach is now suspected of violating an order of protection. However, the Billings Gazette is reporting that Beach and his attorney say that he did not violate his probation. Justice Department spokesperson Eric Sells says that if Beach's probation is revoked, the state will recommend that he goes back to prison. Beach was granted clemency by Governor Steve Bullock in 2015. His next court appearance is scheduled for late February. An update now on former First Lady Barbara Bush. Reports say she could be released from the hospital as early as tomorrow. That's according to a spokesperson for her husband, former President George H.W. Bush. Both Mr. and Mrs. Bush are being treated at the same hospital in Houston. The former First Lady was admitted for bronchitis, while her husband is treated for a respiratory issue related to pneumonia. The spokesman says Mr. Bush will remain in the ICU for observation for a few more days. Great Falls man crashed into a Great Falls Police Department patrol car on 35th Street and 11th Alley South. After the crash, the 23-year-old driver tried to run from the scene but was later identified from the vehicle's registration. He has been charged with 2 misdemeanors at this time, including a hit and run, but police say additional charges could be filed. The driver's side of the door patrol car was significantly damaged, as you can see here from the photos, as well as the front end of the driver's vehicle. The officer that was in the patrol car at the time of the crash was not injured. Now, the superintendent of public instruction says that some Montana students' test data submitted to the U.S. Education Department were falsified and out of compliance. Elsie Arneson says the data submitted before she took office did not meet state and federal reporting standards and misinterpreted student proficiency. Denise Juneau told lead newspapers that Arneson is misinterpreting the issues and jumping to conclusions. Juneau, who was superintendent for 8 years before Arneson, says that she could have clarified the situation but was never contacted. Arneson says that the issue could put federal funding for Montana schools at risk. Juneau says she doubts that federal officials will pull funding from the state. Now, yesterday we ran a story on the recap of who has put their name into both Republican and Democratic nominating committees for Congressman Ryan Zinke's seat, which will become vacant if he is confirmed as the Secretary of the Interior. Today, Casey Schreiner announced on Twitter that he is no longer seeking the nomination for the upcoming special election. For the complete list of all who is still looking for a nomination, head to our website, kfbb.com, and search special election. Now, coming up, a special canine is trained to save lives on the ski hill. We'll take you to Whitefish for that story after the break. But first, here is David Daniel with your Hollywood Minute.